Hello, my name is Camden Holk, and this is the process of my research, the Johari window and its view place into the workplace. A research on self-reflection and self-awareness in the workplace. Let's begin. So, what is this for? Well, the process of this research will be for people who are in human resources and people who are in the workplace, just casually anyway. So, what is the purpose of this research? It is to involve interpersonal connections in the workplace and improve them. It's to allow more social and open workplace and to have faults dealt with quicker and in a healthier manner. So you may be asking, what is the Johari window? Well, this is a model of the Johari window right here. To explain, the top window, the open area or arena, is the section that is known to others or known to self. This is the self that you present to other people when you're around them. The one that is the most commonly seen, the one that you socialize with, so on and so forth. The other is others known, but not known to yourself. That is the blind spot. That is a large part of but that section right there is a large section in my research. I'll explain later. It is a section that is known to others, but not known to yourself. Like you'll do things subconsciously that you won't realize, but other people will realize and notice them. Then there is the hidden area or the facade, which is not known to others, but only known to yourself. These are the secrets that you keep for yourself, parts that you don't let other people know. And then there's the unknown, which is not known by anyone, not yourself, not others. It is a very interesting section of the Johari window, but that is for another time. So here's some of my literature review. I use Andrew Shenton's description of the Johari window in the section before, and this section by Martin Sikirni. I did not say that right. I apologize. The section is the process of employees training must be permanent and systematic. In a view of optimal management and leadership of employees, it is important to motivate employees to permanent and systematic training of their knowledge and skills, which is why the Johari window should be used in a specific way during training so that they know how to use it and it becomes a permanent part of their training. The description here by Merritt Cassidy, a tangible means of allocating knowledge about personal strengths and weaknesses. That's something that the Johari window does. It helps point out these personal strengths and weaknesses to make it more understandable. And the training in the domain of soft skills such as interpersonal communication has assumed a lot of importance for organizations in decent times, which means you need to be very personal with your employees. You need to have a very good communication to and from, and you want other employees to have good connections and good relationships in the workplace. The driving idea is to connect people and concepts together as a kind of knowledge hub where both individuals and communities are exposing knowledge on the web through marketing and shared workspaces. That is done by Mark Pollitt in talking about using the Johari window in the workplace, in the remote workplace. The Johari window can be a thought of a dynamic relational tool which can help inform both supervisor and supervisee where they are operating during a supervision conversation. Shows another thing about the Johari window. Self-awareness enhances critical thinking in that by knowing biases and keeping them in check, one can assess, respond to, and more objectively evaluate situations, which is very important in the workplace because you want to be able to explain this information to people. Self-reflection can be defined as a temporally phenomenological experience in which self becomes an object to oneself, and you want to be able to self-reflect when criticisms is given to you. So what methods did I use? Well, parts of my methods is I interviewed a handful of HR employees over Zoom and recorded it. I used a qualitative research method and a structured interview, going through a list of questions as we went through the entire thing. So what did I ask? I asked questions on their thoughts on self-reflection and self-awareness in the workplace. I asked about if their interpretation of the interpersonal communication. I asked about their importance of openness in the workplace and if the openness should be done in public or private. I also asked how they would use the Johari window and this direct open communication in the workplace. I asked for their feedback on their implementation of it if it were in their workplace, and what they would possibly add or remove if they decided to use it in their own workplace. So what did I find? They all defined interpersonal communication as the following is shown here: is a skill for talking with people and for one-on-one communications or in groups. And is a different method of communicating with people, and it helps with perspective, because you want to have a very good perspective when you're talking with people, especially if it's one-on-one or if it's in groups. They're important. They all found self-awareness and self-reflection quite important. They considered it all very, very essential in the workplace, and that having self-awareness and being able to self-reflect showed confidence in that you know what you are doing, which can be very, very important in the workplace. On the section on openness of others, they said it helps identify weakness and allows for adjustment in the workplace, which is very important and something I wanted to show in my research, that being open can be very, very helpful. And for the being public or private with the openness, all of them was an overwhelming do not do it in public, because it creates defense mechanisms against other people, and that and that it creates defensiveness towards the employer to the employee, and just never to do it in public. Keep it in private conversations, and like keep the advice private. Oh. Another look through the finding is how would they use the Johari window in the workplace? Well, they mostly discussed about using the blind self, discussing things that are brought from the blind self and bringing them into the open self, allowing for more openness, more understanding, and that they would want it to be very welcomed by, the idea of all of this was very welcomed by all the people that I had participate in this. They really much like the idea of being able to bring flaws to the forefront so that people can understand and adapt and self-reflect on it. And it was very important perspective to have from the HR perspective, because all the people I interviewed were in HR. They all found it very interesting, and that some places actually used something quite like this. What would they add and removed? They would like to add asking more questions to employees to improve communication. They wanted to build up trust first before adding this into the workplace, because it feels very invasive, which I understand through learning with this research, that being very open about other flaws can feel very invasive, and that it can be damaging to one's like self thoughts about themselves, and that it can hurt a lot if their flaws are brought to their own view. And one thing that they would remove is gossip and seeing it as an invasion of privacy, which I do realize through this research that it does feel like an invasion of privacy. If you are to go up to someone and be like, hey, you're doing this wrong, this is what you're doing wrong, please improve upon it, which I get. In the discussion, being open in the workplace was identified as very important by all of them. They all identified as being very open in the workplace. It's something that is an essential part of in this research, is that just being open in the workplace allows for a better workplace. And they were overwhelmingly positive outlook with being open. Being open is very good to have in the workplace, as I mentioned just a second ago. Another thing, they showed slight concern with privacy for employees, which is understandable, because what the basis of my research is essentially asking is to point out any flaws you see that can be improved upon, and that it can be very dangerous to do such, as in the person can feel very attacked by it, which you don't really want. And one of the participants that I spoke with already had something like this in the workplace, where they'd have like weekly meetings just to kind of update and check how they're doing, and just to update them on various things, which means that my research already has some basis in that. A matching theme across the interviews shows the following: that they wanted more openness in the workplace. They want for an increase in self-reflection and self-awareness, which would allow for more like understanding in the workplace. A very positive reaction on the Johari Windows usage and explaining it, which is very good. Though something I would change personally is being able to explain it better and in more detail if I were to continue this research in the future. And a need to discuss faults in private. Just keep it private, one-on-one conversation with the supervisor. So why would I use this? Why would you use this? Use this research. Well, using the Johari window and just openness in the workplace allows for more openness and self-reflection, which I've mentioned before 100 times, is that it's very important in the workplace to learn from your own faults, because you grow from your faults. You grow from learning your mistakes, and sometimes you may not notice mistakes that you just can't see. It allows you to grow as an individual, realizing your faults and allowing you to grow from them, allowing it to reform yourself and just build yourself up stronger and stronger each time, allowing you to grow and become better in the workplace. It also allows you to learn about yourself in ways you may not understand, because you may not understand these things going on, and you'll realize, oh, I'm subconsciously doing this thing. I can re-up it and fix it. In conclusion, my research showed that openness in the workplace was very important to have and was very important to use. The Johari window can be a good role model to use to promote openness in the workplace, and being open to others and to about yourself as well can also allow for more knowledge of yourself and knowledge of the other people around you. Thank you very much. Here are the sources. Right, thank you very much. How do I stop it?